Hello everybody, I'm Alec Feygin, a senior in the AIM program covering international communications, and today I'm going to be pitching Ericsson, ticker ERIC. To quickly introduce Ericsson, it was founded in 1876, the year that Alexander Bell patented the telephone, and is headquartered in Stockholm, Sweden. Its four business segments allow Ericsson to provide the hardware, the software, and the services to communication vendors that allow for our connected world. And as you can see from the chart on the right, Ericsson's a truly global company with global manufacturing, service, and R&D centers, but mainly focused in Europe, Asia, and North America. Now on to my recommendation. According to the Del Oro Research Group, the global communications equipment market is roughly $450 billion, and the main three players in this market are Ericsson, Huawei, and Nokia. And something to note about Ericsson and Huawei is that they both in the last 5 years have increased market share, and whereas Nokia has decreased it. And the main thing that I'm going to try to convince you of in this pitch is that 5G is the link to all the other connected technologies that we hear about now and will be hearing a lot about in the future. And most tangibly in our 3 to 5 year investment horizon is IoT, which will proliferate in the coming decade. And the way that Ericsson has increased its market share in the last 5 years is through its lead in technology. As of now, Ericsson has 25% of its entire workforce committed to R&D, which allows it to have a world-leading patent portfolio in cellular technology with over 54,000 patents. And not only that it has the technology, but it also has the focus to provide the services and the auxiliary things needed for vendors to really get the most out of 5G. And therefore, it is recommended that Ericsson be added to the AIM International Equity Fund with a price target of $19.11, representing a 63% upside. So now moving on to my drivers. The first of which is that Ericsson is emerging as the leader in the transition from 4G to 5G. Now, when thinking about the difference of 4G to 5G, it's best to help to illustrate it. So 4G is like a bike path, whereas 5G is a 4-lane highway. So cities and countries are strategically investing money into upgrading their networks to handle the ever-increasing data flows that will be coming through our connected world. And as of now, there are 75 live 5G networks in the world, and 56 of them were created and installed by Ericsson. Which moves us on to our second driver, that Ericsson's expanding into higher margin business segments and regions. So you can see the product mix of Ericsson hasn't really changed on the surface. But with this new technology, Ericsson's really invested in upgrading their digital services and their IoT platform and their emerging business to really sit on top of the hardware so vendors don't only have the best technology, they also know how to use them. And digital services and these other software-based segments have gross margins of over 40%. And then similarly, the regions that Ericsson's really focusing on, North America, Europe, and Latin America, which makes up over 57% of their revenues, are the highest margin areas because one, they already have an existing connected infrastructure, and two, they've been investing and continually spending more capital on upgrading these networks so they can keep up with the increased demand of data. Which then leads to our third driver, that Ericsson's increasingly taking market share away from Nokia and Huawei. So these are just a few of the headlines that I've seen in the last year about Nokia and Huawei. They're both struggling, but for different reasons. Nokia is struggling because it can't create the technology that either Huawei or Ericsson have. And Huawei is struggling because the US government has decided to declare war on them and sanction them, effectively cutting off the critical semiconductor components needed for them to provide the best technology. And vendors are really sticky. Most likely if a vendor chose you to create their 4G network, they'll choose you to create their 5G network. But what they care about more is the technology. And Ericsson has the best technology. So moving on to my valuation and financials, I want to quickly address the low ROA, ROE, and ROIC. So when Ericsson builds out the 5G network and the digital service to accompany those networks, they face very high upfront costs. And we saw that in the earnings per share in the last few years. But as more 5G networks go online, those costs get minimized and the return on equity goes up. So to quickly hit on management, Mr. Ekholm is the current CEO, and he took over in 2017 but has been with the company on the board since 2006. He's responsible for really focusing Ericsson on becoming the #1 5G infrastructure company in the world. Under his watch, they've signed the most contracts related to 5G at 100. And in essence of time, I will skip over the risks. So why should we invest in Ericsson? Well, it's simple. Since 2017, Ericsson has been the single most focused company on 5G. It's best positioned to provide the infrastructure that will connect more humans and more machines to our world. And only once that infrastructure is in place can the next Alexander Bell use it to truly change the world.